Imagine a world where the deadliest poison is hailed as a miracle cure. A world where doctors prescribe a substance that literally makes you rot from the inside out. This isn't a horror movie. This was reality for hundreds of years. And the miracle cure, mercury? Get ready, because today we read diving into the insane history of how one of the most toxic elements known to man became the go-to medicine for everything. So, how did this madness even start? To understand that, we need to travel back to the world of ancient alchemy. Alchemists were obsessed with mercury, or quicksilver as they called it. Its shimmering liquid metal form was mesmerizing. They believed it was one of the three primordial substances, along with salt and sulfur, that made up everything in the universe. They thought it held the key to transmutation, to turning lead into gold, and even to eternal life. A key figure in this story is a Swiss alchemist and physician named Paracelsus, who lived in the 16th century. Paracelsus was a rebel. He burned traditional medical books and argued that medicine needed a revolution. His big idea? The dose makes the poison. He believed that poisons, in small, controlled doses, could actually be powerful medicines. He began experimenting with chemical compounds, and one of his favorites was, you guessed it, mercury. Now, at the time, Europe was in a terrifying grip of a new and devastating disease, syphilis. It was a horrific illness, causing painful sores, rashes, and eventually leading to insanity and death. No one knew how to treat it. It was a death sentence. Then along comes Paracelsus's new mercury-based treatments. Doctors started prescribing mercury to syphilis patients, and something strange happened. Sometimes the symptoms seemed to improve. The sores would disappear, and patients would feel better, at least for a while. The news spread like wildfire. Mercury was hailed as the cure for the great pox. It was the first time there was any hope against this terrifying disease. But here's the dark secret. Mercury wasn't curing anything. What it was actually doing was triggering a massive violent reaction in the body. The treatments were brutal. Patients would ingest mercury, have it rubbed into their skin as an ointment, or even inhale its vapor in heated rooms called fumigation stoves. The immediate effects were intense. The most prominent one was extreme salivation. Patients would drool uncontrollably, sometimes producing liters of saliva a day. Doctors at the time actually thought this was a good sign. They believed the body was expelling the disease through the saliva. In reality, it was just one of the first signs of acute mercury poisoning. But the drooling was just the beginning. The side effects were the stuff of nightmares. Patients' teeth would loosen and fall out. Their gums would rot, leading to a condition gruesomely known as mercury mouth. Their hair would fall out in clumps. They suffered from severe muscle tremors, nicknamed hatter shakes, because hat makers who used mercury to process felt often developed them. And it got worse. The mercury would attack the nervous system. Patients would experience memory loss, depression, and terrifying hallucinations. Their kidneys would fail. Their bones would weaken and ache. They were literally being poisoned from the inside out. The very cure they were taking was destroying their bodies far more effectively than the disease itself. A famous saying from the era went, "A night with Venus, a lifetime with Mercury." It perfectly captured the grim trade-off patients were facing. So why did it seem to work? Why did the syphilis symptoms sometimes fade? Well, mercury does have some antimicrobial properties. It's possible it killed off some of the syphilis bacteria. It's also possible that the intense, body-wide inflammatory response it caused temporarily suppressed the immune reaction that created the syphilis sores. But it was a temporary fix, a devil's bargain. The syphilis would often return, and the patient would be left with irreversible damage from the mercury poisoning. Many patients died not from the disease, but from the treatment. Despite these horrific side effects, mercury's reign as a top medicine lasted for over 400 years. It became a cure-all. Got a fever? Take some mercury. Constipation? A dose of calomel, a mercury chloride compound, was the answer. Feeling melancholic? Mercury was prescribed for that too. Famous figures throughout history were victims of this medical malpractice. It's believed that people like King Charles II of England, Napoleon Bonaparte, and even Abraham Lincoln were treated with mercury-based medicines. Lincoln was known to take blue mass pills, which contained mercury, for his depression. He reportedly stopped taking them because he noticed they made him fly into rages. Smart move, Abe. The tide only began to turn in the early 20th century. Science was advancing. Researchers were finally understanding how germs worked and how poisons affected the body. The evidence against mercury was becoming undeniable. Then in 1910, a breakthrough happened. Paul Ehrlich developed salvarsan, the first truly effective treatment for syphilis. It was an arsenic-based compound, so it wasn't exactly a vitamin supplement, but it was far more effective and less destructive than mercury. Finally, with the discovery of penicillin in 1928 and its widespread use in the 1940s, syphilis had a safe and reliable cure. The age of mercury as medicine was officially over. The so-called miracle cure was finally exposed for what it was, a deadly poison that had caused centuries of suffering. It's a chilling reminder of how easily we can be misled, especially when we're desperate for a cure. The story of mercury is a brutal lesson in medical history, written in the pain of millions. It shows us the vital importance of rigorous scientific testing, of questioning authority, and of understanding that sometimes the cure can be far, far worse than the disease. So next time you see that mesmerizing, silvery liquid metal, remember its dark past. Remember the miracle cure that rotted people from the inside. Thanks for watching this deep dive into one of history's biggest medical blunders. If you found this as fascinating and horrifying as I did, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the strange side of science and history. Let me know in the comments what other historical topics you want me to cover. Until next time, stay curious.